Raf,
James.
how about all these shark attacks in Sydney?
Yeah. I have a theory.
Okay.
I think it might be due to Zoomers not drinking alcohol anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you seen that article going around? The FT wrote an article, alcohol inventories for like Diageo and whatnot are at all-time highs.
Yeah, I saw that.
Zoomers aren't drinking alcohol and there's been 4 shark attacks in 3 days or something.
I mean,
In Australia?
yeah, exactly. In Sydney.
In Sydney.
No, not even in Australia.
It's like we're
exactly.
at risk.
To our international listeners, there's been 4 shark attacks in Sydney. I don't think any of them fatal as of the recording of this episode. But
maybe in 48 hours, in fact.
Really, yeah, exactly. Because we
had the same shark. We don't know.
It was probably the same shark that was in Sydney Harbour at Vaucluse and also at Manly and also in the mid-north coast.
Mid-north coast, that's a bit of a trek.
And it's because there's been so much rain. I actually don't know where it goes from there. I just read in the newspapers because there've been.
That's what rain. I even just, like when I first learned of this, I was like, it must be all the rain.
Yep.
Because it feels like one of those things. It's like, oh yeah, the rain and the sharks come out.
It also feels like a smart thing to say. It's like, I mean, I'm reading the newspaper now that's like, after it's been heavy rains, do not swim in the harbour. And I'm like, this is new information to me, but it does sound wise. So I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to say, it's been raining heavily, guys. Do not go in the harbour. I'm saying that to all the tourists out there.
Yeah.
I know you want to swim in our beautiful harbour, which is full of raw sewage 90% of the year.
But it has been raining.
It's been raining, so
sharks are out.
Yeah, have a beer instead. Alrighty, team.
All right, team. Again, we've fortunately opened the episode with mentions of Sydney suburbs already. Everyone was a big fan of that.
Well, that's true. We started talking about shark attacks, but then I had to get specific. And I said Vaucluse and Manly.
Did I address my early supposed down round L regarding Venezuela?
I don't think you did.
So a lot of people, I actually spoke to someone just on Friday who didn't listen to our Christmas episodes because he's like, give them a miss. He's there for the alpha.
Well, there was actually a lot of alpha in there.
Yeah.
Aside from what you're about to talk about.
But on our Mark DiStefano episode, I boldly predicted that there wouldn't be regime change in Venezuela. And I was soundly mocked for like within days there being what I would call a drug dealer was arrested in Venezuela.
A limited targeted strike in service of a criminal prosecution.
Exactly. To those who are saying that I took an L immediately within moments of publishing an episode, I ask you, has there been regime change in Venezuela?
I would say there has been continuity. They're passing on power to Delcy Rodriguez, who is Nicolas Maduro's second in command. I'm going to say dub. Although, I'm not sure if you're 100. That's what you were thinking of when you went, nah, I don't think so.
I think the Chavismo regime is still in play. Look, okay, you're right. Directionally, let me be honest. This is the thing with Darren, radical honesty. Had Mark pushed back and said, will Maduro be president?
And put in jail in Manhattan.
I would have been like,
nah.
However, the terms of the deal were, the terms of the prediction was, would there be regime change in Venezuela? And the fact of the matter is there has not been.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll pay that. We're not talking about shark attacks. I'm not talking about
Chavismo.
We're not talking about exactly Venezuela or American policy in Latin America. We can do an episode about that, but not today.
Yeah, or like in the kind of North Atlantic, I suppose.
Yeah, the Greenland stuff. We can get to that. There's like a rare earths angle, which kind of links into chip production. Well, vaguely.
There's a markets freaking out angle that
that's true.
Ties into like my portfolio. However,
irrelevant.
What we are going to talk about is we're going to start the episode with the death of SaaS.
Is software dead?
Is software dead? Software stocks have been taking a beating.
Yep.
Well, actually for like 12 months or so. It kind of fits in with a down round thesis, or at least a down round gesticulation around, the death of kind of software, SaaS, enterprise software. Is AI eating it up? Well, the market kind of vaguely thinks it might be. Well, that's episode 1. Episode 2, something that Down Round has been calling for. We've been begging for, in fact. OpenAI introducing ads into ChatGPT.
Yeah, the ChatGPT, OpenAI ads. There's a good conversation to be had there.
Because it's been announced, obviously, as well as maybe like Apple Creative Studio, but see how we go.
All right. And also a third thing, which I'm going to drop on you.
Fourth
absolutely.
thing.
Sorry, whatever. A third thing for the second episode, fourth thing in total. I'm going to drop this on you raw, but I feel like there might be a couple of things to say about prediction markets, which was an episode that we did.
Oh, actually, you're dead right. Yeah, prediction markets.
We did a whole episode about that about a month ago, which was, I would say, a good episode. I think that was a classic down around banger. Feel free to send me an email if you disagree. But there's been a few movements in that space, and I'd like to loop back around. So if you want to hear that, before you even get to the paywall, just go to downaround.net, sign up for a premium. A whole bunch of you have been doing that over the past.
I know. It's been pumping.
It's been inexplicably pumping. I'm not going to say inexplicably. Our content's great. But over January, people are getting amongst it, and you should too. Okay,
Jesus Christ. On with the show.
Yeah.
Okay, SaaS. Is SaaS dead? So I want to take people back to maybe our like Jira episode potentially, but it's a theme that's been running in Down Around for a while, which is like software providers. And when we say like SaaS, software as a service, B2B SaaS, that's the classic acronym.
Yep.
Business to business software as a service.
Yep.
We're talking things like project management. We're talking about databases here, enterprise resource planning, anything that a business uses to kind of operate. The question becomes, will AI enable these businesses? Will it be great for them? CRM, classic one, customer relationship management. Will AI help these businesses become bigger and more important?
Yep.
Or is it in fact disruptive to their businesses?
Is it going to disintermediate their business and destroy them?
Now, you have some numbers.
I do have some numbers. So to give some context, tech in general is pumping, right? Obviously it's had some vibrations or whatever, but if you look at sort of the tech indices,
or like the NASDAQ,
it's looking great.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nvidia is still on a tear. A lot of our big tech Mag 7 companies are on a tear. But if you look at specifically software businesses, it has been quite a bit rougher. So I'm just going to read some random figures that I've collated before this episode. So Morgan Stanley has like a basket of software as a service stocks, which is down 15% year to date, which followed an 11% decline through all of 2025. Intuit, they make tax software and a bunch of other things. Don't they own
MailChimp now?
They do own MailChimp, which if you listen to a lot of podcasts, if you send newsletters, you'll know MailChimp. If you listen to a lot of podcasts, they do a lot of podcast advertising.
But obviously TurboTax and their
and a whole bunch of other. This is classic
QuickBooks,
big software business. Yes. They fell 16% last week, which was its worst weekly performance since 2022. Adobe is down 11% over the last week and 25% over the past year. Salesforce is down 11% last week, 28% over the last year. GitLab down 45% over the last year. And Workday, that's another like
HR
totally down 24% over the past year. Now, the NASDAQ 100 index has been flirting with record highs, but like companies like the ones I mentioned, ServiceNow, it's another one, they are trading at the lowest levels in years. And I think this is interesting because before we even get to the conversation we're going to have, the tech boom over the past, since the global financial crisis, obviously it had like a big surge in the late 2010s, throughout 2020, early 2020s, whatever. But we can say probably, since 2010, has been software driven.
Yes.
Software and like, platform businesses like Meta and what have you, or Facebook as it used to be. That has been like one of the engine rooms of the American economy, global economy, which is based on this idea. Once software as a service became the model, which was you're not selling boxed software off the shelf where you charge $80 or $100, or maybe for some professional software, $400, $500, $600. You are selling it as an ongoing subscription for business B2B software on a per seat basis. Every time you want an extra person in your company to have access to this tax software, this Atlassian project management software, whatever, you are paying for an extra seat every single year. This became like the model for how software was done.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's many reasons why it makes sense. One, obviously, the classic down round thesis, zero marginal cost. Well, not thesis. It's not down round thesis. We worked out that was the advantage of software over hardware. But we talk about it a lot. Like that idea that this is like a generic idea that's not actually true, but like you make a piece of software. If one person buys it, if 1 million people buys it, the cost was the same to you. So the marginal cost of every extra customer is basically zero. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can quibble around the edges with like cloud or whatever. That is the idea of software. This is why like all of the ideas around software will eat the world, Mark Andreessen, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of, I would say up until about 2022, the thesis was software will win the day. It's the best investment anyone can make because really all your expenses is a bit of R&D and sales and marketing.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. You need some programmers to build and maintain it and come up with like develop the initial basic products to sell. You need salespeople to get out in the market to distribute it. You need or like Instagram ads or whatever it takes to do the sales and marketing pipeline. And every new person you add doesn't necessarily require you to hire a new programmer. Obviously, you're going to grow as a business, but you have to. It's different if you are running like a consulting business or an accounting business or any other professional services where it's like, or traditionally, you onboard a new client. You need people to like look after that client.
Yeah, exactly.
If you run a software business, theoretically, you don't need to do that. You can scale it just with your core team and your salespeople to get them in the funnel. But that seems to be breaking down, at least in the eyes of investors.
Yeah, we should also say the other like major benefit being recurring revenue and like the kind of business model change was like subscriptions, as you mentioned up the top. But like one of the reasons being that that's so handy is I can say like, look, I know that I'm going to have 85% retention year on year. I know that our growth is this percentage, so I can predict very accurately what our growth is going to be.
Yeah, and how many customers are going to have in 2 years?
I'm going to borrow against that. Investors love it because they know that it's not a cyclical business. It's not all of a sudden going to like next year, no one's going to buy your product or your next release, no one's going to buy your product. And so all of a sudden your revenue is in the toilet. You know that you're going to get basically consistent revenue.
Totally. And this also undergirds the venture capital model because like it is potentially, and the way you can sell it is, this is hyper growth.
Yeah, a bunch of money up front. I'll pump in a few billion up front, but I know like it's smooth sailing from then on.
If as soon as I hit that threshold point, we are in hockey stick vertical growth mode, and we can do that as long as the software is right and the product, the PMF, the product market fit. We've figured out what our total addressable market is. We've figured out who's going to
our customer acquisition cost, our CAC to lifetime value ratio, folks. It's a 3-to-1. We're spending the right amount of money. We're gaining the customers. Anyway, yes.
And then the next...
This is what
next minute, we can be the next Meta or whatever.
To some of you, this may be 101. To others, it might be like, oh, okay, that's fascinating. Because it's like, when we talk about hockey stick growth, we're talking about doubling customers every month. You can't do that if you're making widgets. No. If you're making cars, you can't double your customers every month because you have to make the physical cars. No. With software, you can.
And this is why we're in topsy-turvy crazy land right now, because you look at a company like NVIDIA.
Yes.
Who have been in basically hockey stick growth mode.
Yes.
They cannot make enough of their product. They are the most capacity-constrained business imaginable in the sense that the product they make requires an insane workforce.
Yes.
An island of wizards.
Yes.
The Taiwanese.
And who then also rely on like the masters of capitalism, of globalization, the Dutch.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, who also have 5,000 suppliers from around the world for their components. It's like, yes, you're right. That is like the definition of capacity constraint.
Totally. And for them to continue to like iterate and release new products, they basically have to mount the equivalent of like a Manhattan project every year to make the new generation of chips increase, like, you know, work with TSMC to go from 4 to 3 to 2 to whatever nanometer processes. Literally the most complicated industrial processes that humankind has ever imagined.
Yes.
We are at the bleeding edge of human capability.
Yeah.
And they are, like, them and all the businesses around them are the ones that are driving the gains right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And the software guys who are like,
I can connect your customers to the products they love. I can send an email at just the perfect times to your customers so that they will like incrementally increase their lifetime value by 5%.
I make a database with a nice user interface. I make Excel spreadsheets. Well, I kind of do that, like, but it's got a bit of swag on it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know those databases you have? I can visualize them.
Yeah.
To create actionable intelligence. The companies who are making things like, yes, pretty databases. Sorry, that's actually, I shouldn't minimize what these companies do.
No, they
the
make
classic
wonderful
companies,
software.
as we said, to reiterate, it's like companies like HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever who are making these like databases for you to track your potential customers and your sales pipelines. You know, as you say, taxation software. Places like this, like these are fundamental enterprise companies or whatever.
Yep.
They've basically been in the toilet for a year and in the toilet even more. Should we talk about the recent catalyst first?
Yeah. So, I mean, and this will be the people who are premium subscribers will know that last year we spoke about Claude Coworker and Claude Code.
Yeah.
We spoke about that in our last episode. Now, this is not quite like a DeepSeek moment, but it does seem like it has sort of accelerated a thesis that a lot of tech investors have had.
Yeah.
Which is like right now, this stuff feels a bit uninvestable.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of tech investors, again, take us back to the Jira episode. We had this conversation.
Yep.
And we did the Jira episode more than a year ago. Jira being project management software. It was about project management and SaaS basically in the era of AI. The thesis was years ago, and I think I put it on Substack as well, the same prediction, which is like, in the near term, I think these companies will benefit from like AI enabling them, but medium to long, they're going to struggle because the whole thing with AI is you can abstract away the user interface layer. That is, if I like want to know that I have work due, here are the projects I'm working on. I can either go into a user interface, kind of see a list, click on the jobs, go in, write a little comment, move things from A to B, whatever it is. Or in the morning, I can be like, here's your to-do list. And I can reply, okay, great. Email Lucy and ask how's she going with checking on these things. Whatever it is. And some of this is not possible right now, by the way. But this idea of like having to go into this user interface, which is pretty or whatever, although most people don't think that any of the SaaS companies we're talking about are pretty. But regardless, like
Salesforce is disgusting. Yeah.
Salesforce is horrible. These platforms that are basically based on all they really are is a user interface on a database.
Yeah.
On a bunch of databases.
Yeah.
Like that's what most software is, to be frank. But
totally. But this is like palpably that.
There's palpably that. It's like, project management or customer, like CRM, where all your customers are. You're talking about a database, but it like kind of looks prettier and it like looks like tickets that you can move through a Kanban or whatever it is or write comments on. Do we need to have that layer? Or can I just be talking back and forth with an LLM? That is the question that we asked 2 years ago, but also like the entire market seems to have kind of grappled with, and including this week in particular, where these SaaS products are hitting the floor, really being like, hold on, do we need these things at all? And we're not saying it's literally like tomorrow with SaaS Dead or anything like that, but like in particular, some of these like little middleware companies or whatever that might do like a smaller aspect to do with like maybe data labeling or whatever it is. You're hearing it more and more, folks. Yes, it's anecdotal, but companies saying like our SaaS provider for this particular service, for like internal tooling or whatever it is, or maybe like onboarding for like new employee onboarding, they tried to up our price. Me and my team, enabled by AI and Claude Code, pulled together over the weekend like basically a clone, and so we cancelled our entire contract.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally. Yeah, I think this is part of what people are seeing because, again, for the people who didn't listen to our premium episode last week, Claude Code is like an interface you can use. It's like a harness you can use to use Claude's models to like make software. Claude Coworker, which is their new model, which is like that, but like less dweeby. Like the whole idea is like it can do stuff on your computer. It can automate processes that you do at work. It can do all sorts of stuff that you personally, as like a laptop class professional, whether it be to organize your life or your work or whatever.
Yeah, or like, okay, here's an Excel spreadsheet, like visualize the most interesting aspects of it.
Yeah.
Okay, all of a sudden you don't need like some data visualization.
Totally. And I don't think Claude Coworker as it currently exists is threatening to any of these SaaS businesses in its current form. But like you can see investors looking at it and thinking about the future and being like, nah.
How much growth do these companies have?
I don't think it's Claude and Anthropic that have like done it, but I think the general vibe right now is
people are starting to get it a little bit.
The markets are just they're just pricing in uncertainty, right? Like these are,
but also like you're talking about like SaaS companies have the most insane multiples in the world, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like these are companies that are priced at 100x free cash flow or whatever, because basically the hypothesis has always been like in 10 years time, these companies are all going to be they're going to be making literally like 70x what their current profit is.
Yeah.
And now they're going like, is this CRM going to be is their growth going to be that up and to the right?
Yeah.
Or maybe are they going to plateau?
Yeah. And there's also the fact that like all of these companies, Salesforce, Notion, anyone you can think of, Monday.com, whatever, SaaS businesses, when you think of that, Canva's hasn't IPO'd yet, but, they are, probably one of the last hypergrowth unicorn software exclusive SaaS platforms that you're probably going to hear about that aren't AI infused. Well, they are now. But
outside of like payments.
All of them are introducing their own weird AI platforms, whether it involves doing deals and relationships with OpenAI, or more commonly, building their own agentic AI platforms. Agent Force, Salesforce's AI plays.
Yeah.
Like all these different companies are trying to do AI. And I think the general vibe on them currently is like, they're they're not fucking revolutionizing the economy.
No,
they are trying to generate a narrative that says, hey, we see all this shit that's going on and we're doing something on it and we see the value in it. So I think the market's looking at that. It's looking at like, they're not really cracking the nut on AI. We have OpenAI.
Well, and when we say cracking the nut, I think it's like, what can they do that me plugging Claude in or me plugging OpenAI in or Gemini in or whatever can't do?
This is the thing. Like, again, you can even see it with Microsoft Copilot, right? This like per app thing where they've got a nice little fucking 2026 version of Clippy being like, would you like me to write you an email? Or what? I mean, I'm simplifying what Copilot is, but it's not that far from that, to be honest. They're not nailing it. Everyone can see. And when you
let's stop for a minute.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, like what Copilot is in Excel or like Gemini is in Sheets or whatever it is literally just like turning a sheet into a JSON, like an array.
Yep.
Posting it into an LLM.
And then like actioning it and throwing some prompts in, right?
Which is like not very different from you like Command A, Command C, highlight all, copy all, paste all. Tell me, like it's not that different.
I haven't seen the obviously I haven't seen the numbers but like I am sure in like the Microsoft Command Center, they've got the figures on like who uses the native Copilot buttons versus who copy and paste into ChatGPT, into Gemini, into Claude, and does stuff outside, then puts it back in.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain the meaningful work gets done in the latter.
Yeah. And plus, like, especially nowadays, things like Claude Code or, any command line interface, be it that like Codex by OpenAI, Gemini CLI, whatever it is, like can read CSVs.
Yeah, exactly.
And like amend them and then...
I think people look at the model of Claude Code, Claude Coworker, all the rest of them you just described, and they go, well, that's the model. Something that sits on top of everything, can action multiple files, act agentically across multiple systems, versus you have like a weird AI button that sits in this SaaS software.
Yeah, exactly. In Microsoft Word, and you press the AI button, and it has no context of any of the other shit in any of your other apps.
And I think like a lot of people, especially people who like think AI is a bust or dislike it, I think there's a solid chunk of people who like their main exposure is like through what is objectively fucking horrible, annoying, half-baked, shitty implementations of like an AI button that's like...
That I never use.
That is in Notion or whatever.
Yeah, in Notion. Like, I quite like Notion, but it's
Notion's
like I've
fine.
never once used its AI
Never have I been
features.
tempted, because if I want to interact with AI, I'll do it directly.
Yeah.
So I'm just like putting on my investor hat. You look at that and go, well, you guys have put a shitload of money in trying to keep up, and you can't keep up with like the big dogs who are like actually building the models.
Yeah.
So there's that. So that you have that uncertainty.
Well, but like they literally can't keep up, because it's like if you're HubSpot, say, like your CRM, customer relationship manager, you are waiting for the big dogs to release their latest model, and then you start building on top of it.
Yep.
Or implementing it into your thing. You literally are behind.
Yep.
Like you're relying on other companies, and then you're being like, oh, let's see how we can implement this new feature into us, and then wait however many months that takes. It's like you're literally behind.
Yeah, totally.
And sorry, we should
Go
also
ahead.
caveat, just because this isn't like a fucking AI bull, insane podcast. It's just like, if you're an investor looking at where is the future growth going to be over the next 10 years, the reality is probably not from the SaaS businesses that are UIs on databases.
No, I totally agree, because I think, you don't have to be an AI bull to see what's happening. So I think all the stuff we just talked about has just introduced a massive uncertainty factor into the software market. you can't just be like, oh, the only factor in Salesforce's growth is like how many customers they can add, right? What new markets can they break into? It's now looking like, oh, they've got like a disruptive force that's operating. And I think one of the big reasons that like on a stock price level that NVIDIA and microchips and all the associated stocks is that like it's an anti-risk play. If you just like AI is going to
the
be
picks
big,
and shovels play.
yeah, exactly. Like,
I mean, again, the down round thesis is like, you know, during a gold rush, I back myself to find a big ass nugget. You sell shovels and picks, fine.
Yeah, exactly. I trust myself to find the nugget.
I'm built different, you know?
But no, it's like if the depth of your thesis on investing is AI is a big deal, then
you might be moving some money away from the non-AI native companies and into the AI one.
The safest bet is, well, if AI is big, NVIDIA pumps.
NVIDIA, Google, top companies 1 and 2 in the world. It's like bit of hardware, bit of software.
Yeah, great, bang. And like, because in everything else you do, whether it is buying into software, shorting software, you got to be like a weapon to time it correctly, essentially. Yeah. Like, and if you don't trust yourself to time things correctly, I don't trust myself to time things correctly.
No one should time themselves.
No one can time the things correctly. Then you go for the surer bet, which is like NVIDIA line goes up if AI good.
Yeah.
I think that is just
as well as like, as we've said, they're massively capacity constrained. Their margins are insane. Their margins are basically software margins.
They've got software margins
because
on
literally everyone wants NVIDIA. We've said this forever. And they don't look like they're going down anytime soon. Well, I mean, you don't even need to really, like, you could be Warren Buffett or someone else, close your eyes and just look at the numbers and not know what any context is and be like, wait, their demand is what now? Their margins are what now? Like their forward revenue, their forward demand is what? It's like, well, like their revenue is growing at what percentage?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't take a genius to be like, that's a good business.
That seems good. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't like, you know, a Tesla or whatever, which the opposite would be the case. That's neither here nor there. Regardless.
The other thing I would just raise just on is software dead? And I don't think software is dead. Because, you know, the other side of it, we've kind of alluded to it as we've been talking. And some people argue, it's like, don't think about AI disrupting these software businesses, these SaaS businesses, whatever. Think about the fact that AI is going to like dramatically expand capability and expand the markets for software. And as a result, these companies are just going to be lifted up as they go.
Well, so there's a few things I want to point to that. One of them is the business model itself. And this is why, shout out Steve Hind, AI does bring about new business models. Lorikeet, Australian startup that's like a ticket kind of management. AI solves your customer tickets for you. You know, like a customer says, you know, I want a refund on this thing because it's shit. And the AI, they pay per solution basically. If the AI can solve it for the customer, you pay Lorikeet. If it can't, it passes it on to a human. You don't pay him. That's a disruptive business model.
Yep.
Like who knows whether that will be the future of it. But one of the weird things about something like Salesforce, for example, and even Microsoft to a lesser extent, like the king of SaaS, is that, or the queen of SaaS, I suppose, depending on how you look at it. Or is there a non-binary version of the regal, the royal? Try to be inclusive here. Is there
king, queen, like regent?
The regent.
Regent of SaaS?
The regent of SaaS.
I do think Microsoft's kind of a bit male-coded.
Yeah, but like like those late stage monarchs who there's so much inbreeding that, you know,
they could be anyone.
Okay. They might be a little decrepit.
Interesting. Okay.
Not that, I mean, sorry, I'm not to say that. Like I've said before, Satya Nadella's a killer.
You've said too much.
No. I like, Satya Nadella, great leader. I don't see him as an inbred. I'm not calling Satya Nadella inbred. That'd be crazy.
Like a Habsburg monarch.
I think I need to spell this out.
That's the word I was thinking of. Monarch of SaaS.
Monarch of SaaS, the butterfly of SaaS. And again, let me be clear. I was not calling Satya Nadella inbred. That would be disgraceful. The monarch of SaaS, Microsoft. Sorry, going back. As I said, Lorikeet, disruptive business model, pay per solution. The weird thing about the Salesforce model and stuff is like, and the Microsoft model is it's pay per seat, right?
Yep.
And if you're predicting a world where like AI agents are going to be doing work, like the job of workers, then your business model doesn't work. You're basically predicting that workers of an enterprise can be more efficient and therefore you require fewer seats. then how does your business model work when you sell per seat?
Now, you hear about this a lot from people who work in this space and whatever, where it's like trying to price AI solutions and like find margin and things like that. Because like, the current AI model pricing is basically like per token, right?
Yes.
Like in general.
And you hear this crap of like, and like I think Anthropic say this stuff as well. It's like, if our agent can bring 100K of enterprise value, we should be able to sell for 80K.
Yep.
It's like, but are you going to sell agents or are you selling tokens? Like that's a different thing.
And
like, are
also,
you packaging up an individual quote
exactly.
unquote worker who does one discrete task and can't do any more? The whole point of fucking AI and software is that it's scalable.
It's scalable, and also like I find it like, what is one agent? Especially now, like when you use Claude Code and you ask it to do something, it has like weird subroutines going on. There's multiple models.
It makes its own little quote unquote agents.
It builds its own little team. Like at some point we were like, this is an agent. His name is whatever fucking awful branding thing has come up. And he or she.
Was they
is generating, as you said, $100,000 worth of some sales leads or whatever. And it is basically a guy in your computer. And we have ring-fenced all the different like individual Claude Code tabs that we're calling IRAF. You would pay a guy $100,000 to do IRAF's job. Pay him $80K, It gets a bit fucking weird because there's not a guy.
No.
It's a whole bunch of different, it's a whole bunch of bundled ChatGPT windows doing 100 different things.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You hear this a lot with, and I know it's still up in the air about exactly what and where the AI contribution is in law, like legal services. And I know we've got some down around premium subscribers this is a hot topic of conversation about what it contributes to law and legal work. But, people who pay for legal work right now, it's generally a per hour deal. You're paying probably a pretty extortionate fee per hour.
You're telling me.
It could be thousands of dollars an hour.
Per 10-minute block.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, especially corporate clients, who they rip their fucking hair out over this. They want it to be like a per task completed pricing. So we can pay a lot, but we don't want to pay like a whole bunch of paralegals to do this like discovery work or whatever. We want to pay like per job, per discrete task, whatever. And it does seem like AI is a little bit more suited to that.
Yeah. It works or it doesn't. Like that's actually a really good business model. But I mean, whether that actually comes to pass or not. But I guess the point is, it's like, this is another problem that typical SaaS has. And this is the classic Clay Christensen disruption story. Is like, it's not about a better product comes along and disrupts. It's usually a different business model. One that it's much cheaper in the first place. It's much cheaper in the first place and worse in the first place. But over time, it's like, it's cheaper and worse, but we get better outcomes for much less money. And then grows and grows and actually becomes better with scale and whatnot. And like that is like your classic disruption theory. And that may or may not be happening. But again, it's just another reason why, if you're an investor and you're looking ahead 10 years, because technically the myth of like investment is like 10 years free cash flow discounted back against the US treasuries or whatever. But regardless, it's like theoretically you're looking at what the future growth of this company is and the future potential is. You can see why it's like, they don't have the business model. They don't have the expertise or any of the R&D or any of the...
They're not building the models.
To build any of the models. So they're relying on other people and they're going to therefore not be able to take a large margin on any of this stuff. But the thing they do have, and this is both a benefit but also shows like what is really a maturing industry, is like, as you said before, what are the hot SaaS businesses that have like recently IPO'd that everyone's really pumped and excited about? Like you can't really think of any.
No, I mean, what last big set like Figma?
Yeah,
and that's been like kind of disappointing after the IPO.
Yeah, we had Figma, but it was like kind of like no one's really excited about like a hot new CRM or like taxation software or even really fintechs for that matter.
No,
like no one's really talking about them. And when you do think these businesses, is you think, and again, this goes to maybe one of the positives in the short to medium, which is like their moat. You think about like they're very hard to leave, and that's seen as a positive. You know, once you're embedded with a CRM or a project management software or a database company, it's like, shit, it's hard to leave them.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's like a positive from like an investor perspective. But like when you think about that as like a long-term play, when it's like, well, number one benefit is really hard for existing subscribers to leave them.
Yeah. This is essentially the business model in the SaaS world right now, because you're right. There are now AI challenges emerging who are, I think they're the tough job for a lot of these like AI-powered competitors and all these SaaS spaces is like exactly what you described. It's like, so if it's a company like NetSuite, which is part of Oracle or Oracle generally speaking, or, you know, a lot of these businesses, where if you're a challenger, your main sales goal is like, you know, we've figured out that AI can do 80% of your accounting tasks. Or
Yeah,
80%.
and we can do it for 1/10 the price.
We can do that, but you have to get over the barrier of, okay, we are maybe even not an absolutely massive business. We are a business that does $50 million a year in revenue.
Which is seen as peanuts to companies that do $1 billion in revenue.
Exactly.
Or to companies that do $100 million in revenue, they're like, which is not that much.
We are locked in with our accounting provider, and our CTO or our CFO says they've run the numbers, and like even converting, even if what you say is true, we would have to pay $250 million to even convert.
Yeah.
And we just don't want to take that risk.
Before you even get to how much it would cost to transfer from one of these services to a much cheaper alternative is like just the risk. And as we've talked about time and time again on Down Round, and this is one thing that's underappreciated because like a lot of, especially investors, I mean like VCs and whatnot, and people in tech are like, oh, if you have a better, more efficient company or version, inevitably people will move to it because companies will be like, oh, wait, I can get this for 1/10 the price. I can get the same service for 1/10 the price. So they'll move to it. It's like, well, no, because what you're dealing with is normal people in normal businesses who have jobs and wives and kids, and 95% of them just want to rock up at 9 and leave at 5.
Plus the fact that a lot of these SaaS businesses, I'm thinking about your ERP, CRM, whatever, it's like mission critical. If we like swap out one of these big dinosaur SaaS businesses and replace it with like this nimble AI competitor or whatever, if something fucks up.
Well, not even if something fucks up. Imagine it goes perfectly.
Yeah.
It goes perfectly. Every single person who works there, so maybe it's like your sales people or whatever, in CRM, your events people, whatever it is, they're going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
About having to learn new systems and go through new things. They're going to ask annoying questions at all of the like the various, onboarding sessions and whatnot.
Yep.
They're going to be mad about it. Every time one small thing is different or annoying or any minor fuck up happens, it's going to be blamed on the change to the new software. Let alone, as you say, if something goes wrong then it's all on you. You just risked your career at this like really chill place that you're working in order to save the company money that the company doesn't know that they need to save or really care that they need to save.
And if it's a public company, God forbid,
you
have all sorts of different problems, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could get sued literally by shareholders.
For signing up for this fucking dumb AI software.
Your directors could be put in jail.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's part of it. I will say this other thing. We did the episode on Claude Code for our premium subscribers last week. If you're not a subscriber, downrun.net, get on there, listen to what we went into more depth on this vibe coding LLM harness sort of universe. But straight after we did the episode, I'm not saying it was because of us, but maybe it was, there was like a real... Like the New York Times did stories on like Claude Code and vibe coding.
Yeah.
Like it had this big boom, and like all of a sudden all these journos were revamping their own websites using Claude Code and whatever. And I think this is kind of playing into it. Obviously, journos building their own personal websites is not going to cause issues for Salesforce. But if you look at that, you go...
Non-technical.
This is a non-technical professional class person who has realized... I don't need to pay Wix or whatever.
Wix, whatever, $400 a year or whatever it is, and deal with like the hassle of learning how to use Wix. I can literally ask Claude to build me a website.
And this is not a software developer. This is a smart white collar professional who goes, oh, I can use this to build tools. And there's all these people who are like posting about how they're using it to build like little tools, little visualizations, little like things that automate stuff they do in their job. And you think about that, the critical view, like someone who's opposed to this will be like, well, that's just like dumb front end browser-based shit. That's not even remotely close to what a company
like a CRM or an ERP or whatever it is.
That is, you are building a janky bit of software that probably does serve your purposes, but also sucks. And that's correct. But like,
that's the start, brother.
You can see the direction of travel.
Yeah. That's how it starts. Oh, it's only, first it was like, well, it doesn't work at all. Then it's like, well, sure, it works for like the front end website for people who would use Squarespace or Wix. It's like, okay, we're talking about public companies on the stock market.
That's a real companies.
Like, and then it's like, oh, well, okay, sure, like it can do a bit of e-commerce. Okay, so like Spotify, Stripe, like, I'm not saying that those companies are in trouble or whatever, but like.
But think bigger, put your brain out in the fucking, expand your mind.
Yeah.
Think about a future where there are mildly competent AI agents that do sales work, right? They go out there, they identify leads, they target messages.
Yeah, they send the SMSs at the right time.
They send messages in the emails, all that sort of shit. Do those, and again, we go back to the problem of like anthropomorphizing them and being like, that's RAF, but it's actually just a bundle of token churning processes. Does that need to look at a Salesforce? No. It doesn't need the weird interface of punching in Salesforce shit.
It just needs a database,
and that doesn't completely change the economy, but if you were Salesforce, you'd be like, fuck. What is our play in a world where a lot of sales work is done by a very, very simple...
Yeah. Now, to be fair, Salesforce actually are attempting to make their own foundational models, but like, exactly.
They are doing that.
And they're not going to compete, though, with like the OpenAIs, the Googles, the Claudes of the world.
And this maybe comes back to the fucking microchip conversation. This is something you should keep in mind when you see all these stories about, and there are new ones, Mira Murati's thinking machines.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be going that well.
Yeah. But look at the meta poaching, the OpenAI poaching, these top tier people that you need to build frontier LLM and AI stuff are being paid $100 million, $200 million more for one person to develop it.
What do they know? Like, I've watched some videos and read some blog posts and like...
They know...
What are they...
Matrix multiplication, propagation.
I reckon I can do some simple... I could do like, in a three-dimensional space, X, Y, Z... I could do some multiplication.
I'm picturing a cube and I'm rotating it in my mind. But like, you look at that and you go, all right, the price of entry for one guy is $100 million to be on the frontier.
Yes, yeah.
And these are companies that is their single mission.
Yeah.
Is the best talent working hard to get at the frontier. Salesforce is not going to do that. Apple couldn't do that.
No. Previously, the second biggest company in the world.
Apple. Exactly.
Well, previously, the biggest company in the world. But as of 2 weeks ago, they
could not keep up with this. And, you could say they were playing four-dimensional chess and just not playing. Fine. Yeah. Although, did you see that? I don't know if you saw this. Someone made a joke about, it was after it was announced that Gemini was going to power the new Siri.
Yeah.
Someone did like a joking tweet that was like, being the head of Siri at Apple must have been sick. Like, you're getting several $1 million a year for however many years to eventually like throw your hands up and be like, oh, we'll let Google do it. And then Mark Gurman from Bloomberg was like, his total compensation was $25 million a year. $25 million a year for a product.
For 15 years. For a product,
for a product that just never added any features. That's sick.
Well, this is the problem with Siri. We're way off track, but like, the whole issue is that it's determinative, right? Like,
yeah.
And so they did add new features. Those new features were like...
One by one
being like, the name of friggin' Katy Perry's new album is.
Yeah. And then some guys putting them in there or adding like a database of albums or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Zendaya is a pop star. Here's some new information about a new person you haven't heard about, because you had to deterministically, just in case people said like, who is Zendaya or play song by Zendaya? It's like, shit, look it up in a database. Is it there?
Yeah. And then obviously ChatGPT comes out and you can be like, write a fucking poem about Pokemon and it would just do it straight out of the can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you can ask like, which country has the longest coastline, for example?
Okay.
And you're going to get an answer from ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Grok. In fact, the most dog shit LLM will probably mention the coastline paradox, you would hope.
You would hope
Siri
so.
is going to be like, you're going to have to open your phone.
Oh, God, it makes me sick. Anyway, is software dead? I don't think we have an answer, but as I said...
No, I mean, the answer is that, like, again, in the short to medium term, it's like obviously their moat of like it being incredibly hard to transfer to something else means that it's not like they're going to die overnight, but their forward profits and their forward growth is obviously being hindered. And, you know, as I said, that's not a great place to be where you're like, okay, your number one benefit is it's really hard to leave you. That doesn't sound like, you know, an awesome growth business. That's the case.
As I said, look into this and be like, the market is pricing in a massive amount of uncertainty, and that is playing out in the markets right now. And it's, as we said, the hedge is chips, where everyone thinks this is going to be worthwhile no matter what happens.
It's chips and like kind of more vertically integrated players like the Googles and to a lesser extent Microsofts of the world or whatever. It's
and your Metas who are insulated.
Metas-ish. But even like an Amazon, though, fits into the category that we're talking about, where it's like they are a cloud service provider, but like their growth has been flat basically for 12 months. I know they have the whole e-commerce thing, but like even something like Amazon, because they don't have a huge AI play and they're just basically a middleman for renting NVIDIA chips or whatever at the moment, because their own chip narrative for AI native chips being like Trainium is not that good.
Yep.
Even they are flat, which makes it kind of tough to play in.
Totally.
Great.
All right.
See you on the other side. What's happening?
See you on the other side. So if you want to hear us talk about ads in ChatGPT, new feature, we will mention Apple's new creative suite, sort of an interesting play that sort of actually feeds into a bit of what we're talking about right now. And we're also going to talk about prediction markets, a little bit of a follow on our previous stuff.